And we will move into game two. So those of you who are just joining us in chat, thank you very much. This is the Versus System 2PCG Quarantine Cup Battle for the Bronze. We've got Bert with his Black Cat deck going up against David and the Spider-Man MCU. This is a best of three, and David currently is up 1-0. If you happen to miss game one, you definitely need to go back and see that. That was a matchup we've very rarely seen. An hour and a half long, just grudge match between these two, pulling everything they possibly could.
Yeah, an hour and a half, game one. Yeah, incredible stuff. Huge swings in momentum both ways, and coming down to both players having no cards left in their deck.
And then after that, we've just been team attacks.
Yeah, it got to a point where they were just looking for team attacks, just looking for anything they could possibly do to cause any sort of wound on each other. With Black Cat built for defense and Spider-Man built for offense, the two of them were just perfect.
Yeah, and at the end there, when it was starting to look like a deadlock, Spider-Man just got himself in a position where, as long as he had one location, he was always going to come out on top because Burt had just burned through everything. But an amazing, long, grueling game one.
That Odin stuff that was happening in the mid game was pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, there was that moment in the middle that absolutely ridiculous Grandmaster Ronin team attack double bump for both to wound Spider-Man. It looked like Burt had this, and then just enough time for David to just hang in there long enough to whittle down Burt's board.
Yeah, definitely the play of the game for me was the Grandmaster Ronin team attack actually sticking and hitting his target for the stun on Spider-Man. An incredible move there.
I am so sorry. I am usually not the slow player.
Do you think, man?
And we get into game number two with David up 1-0.
Okay.
David has decided to mulligan, and looks like Burt did as well.
And it will be Burt's call here, so I believe we will be seeing Black Cat go second again.
You kept your.
While we wait for David to go for his first turn, you're going to want to come back here on Twitch at 7 p.m. Central Time on Thursday. We see a Captain Marvel MCU go up against Spider-Woman for the championship of the Quarantine Cup. Both players have played very well throughout 8-9 rounds, and it'll be interesting to see that matchup.
May Parker.
Yep, the grand finals of the whole thing finally should be a really good match on Thursday.
Going into Black Cat.
And David starts off with a one-of-a-kind May Parker.
Did he row a card though?
He did not. Yeah, no, face down. Yeah, he did face down.
He
yes,
missed a location. That is
He
the
missed
first time I've seen it.
Yeah.
26 locations in the deck. He misses his climb and therefore his XP turn one, but starting off very aggressive with the one-of-a-kind May Parker for the aggressive swing on Black Cat, but no location. First I've seen that from the Spider-Man list.
Okay.
And Black Cat has played Bad Luck, which discards cards out of David's hand. Help him with his.
Yep, and he's going to throw that You're the Last One, which is a little bit weaker in this matchup anyway. Burt will not be aggressive in the early turns.
I'm so used to saying paraglide, different saying just climb.
Yeah.
David was able to draw a location.
Yeah, he finds the location, so he's got an XP, a turn late, and it's interesting that at this point that he's going to be he's looking for that location in his draw every turn now. Normally, I would assume your hand is a fistful, 3 to 4 locations with the 26 in the deck, but now he's trying to find it every turn during his draw
9,
phase.
You're at 5.
That's good. Yeah.
Yep, I'll pass. Gain 4 XP.
Draw 2.
And in 2 turns, Bert has gained 8 XP of the 9 that Black Cat needs. So we most likely will see her level next turn. David still needs another 3 full turns before he can level.
Finds another location, but
Climbing it.
I mean, regardless of the fact that
Going into
that David found the turn 1 May Parker, right, which is definitely not what
How
Bert
tall is Spider-Man currently?
He's a,
wants to see.
5 plus
Bert
3,
has gained XP, and David whiffed on his first experience. So
3.
if he can take out that May Parker,
fast turn.
Bert's in. It's not looking terrible for Bert.
2.
Yeah, we've seen this before from Bert. He gets up with a few
Play the Dream Team.
wounds, but is able to drop the combination like he just did. That he
Oh,
can
yeah.
start helping
I have
himself
6.
and slow down Spider-Man.
Let's get you down to 3.
Yeah, I mean he's got the
Shuffling them up, man.
he's got the level up locked in now, and now that David is a turn behind essentially,
The 3
he's
left.
not going to level up until a turn later than you would normally prefer. He I would say that Bert's actually in a fairly favorable position.
I'll pass on
Takes out an Odin, a training ground, and
You're the
you're
last one.
Drawing 2.
Yeah, that could be hurt. That could hurt David even more, just the fact that he just lost one of his locations if he's not drawing the locations that he needs.
And we
Laboratory?
already see a level 2 Black Cat. So yes, David saw his one of a kind May Parker, but everything else has lined up very well for Bert.
Okay, in the yellow.
Mhm.
A genius billionaire playboy philanthropist, though, will let David see an extra card, as well as putting out some +1 counters. We could see a team attack or something, possibly into Black Cat here, or I believe Spider-Man is a 9/9 right now.
Yeah, Spider-Man is a 9/9 with the +3/+3 counters and the May Parker that gives him additional +3/+3.
But if Bert has a red in his hand for the days, which would take those counters off Spider-Man, that would be very, very strong.
He does have 8 cards, or Bert does have 8 cards in hand, so there is the possibility.
A days would be incredible here.
I'm gonna
Making sure we get the climb for the
climb
experience.
again.
Yep.
Black Cat.
And Spider-Man heads for Black Cat. Do we see
How
a
tall is
discard a
Spider-Man?
location?
+7.
10.
If he has it, I think you definitely go for it. I think it's
Let's
would be very strong to daze those counters off of Spider-Man. A dramatic
No,
entrance.
Dramatic entrance instead.
If he has the Jungle Hunter to go with it, ramping is always good.
We're gonna put
Or
Spider-Man to the back
looks like
end.
he's pairing it with a Savage Leviathan.
Okay, so
Which pushes Spider-Man to his back row.
Go down to 3 counters.
Yeah, which means that May Parker has a huge target on her back right now, I would say.
Especially since she just lost. She just gained a -1/-1 counter.
That's good.
Iron Man will successfully stun Grandmaster. Grandmaster sticks around, though, because he's Elder of the Universe. He cannot be wounded in combat. However, he does lose the Mind Gem, which will be shuffled back into the deck thanks to the Infinity keyword.
So we're kind of seeing what we saw last game. Things moving pretty quick.
Yeah, right.
David's got himself a nice board. Bert's still working on, trying to make sure he can get his guys out. But last game, if that tells us anything, nothing's planned.
Yeah, I'd say it could easily go either way right now. Both decks are mostly, for the most part, doing what they want to do. David whiffed on a location turn 1, which isn't great, and he discarded 3 random cards at one point. But his board state's all right. Having Savage Leviathan push Spider-Man to the back hurts a bit because now May Parker is you're gonna lose your one-of-a-kind May Parker. But Burt with the early level up, earliest we've seen Black Cat flip, I think.
Even with that -1 counter on May Parker, she's still a 0-2. So he would have to send somebody in there besides like Grandmaster and pump it up Grandmaster.
Yep. Looks like Burt rose a card here, so he definitely did not have the red in his hand last turn for the days. But I think he definitely wanted to get that Savage Leviathan in there because he really doesn't want to have to deal with a front row Spider-Man. He just wants to get at that May Parker, which is in turn going to make Spider-Man easier to hit.
Climb.
Nullifier, I assume we're calling Climb. Absolutely
He did.
incredible. What an amazing card in this matchup. It pulls double the weight that it normally does in this matchup. It's incredible.
Attack May Parker. She's a 2 defense, right?
Yes.
Ronan.
So Ronan's going to swing his hammer at May Parker and take her out.
Pass the turn.
But we also know that unless for whatever reason Burt decided to hold on to a red, Black Cat does not have a way of dodging an attack this turn.
You know, I could see it could be a really smart play actually, because if you row the card and convince your opponent you don't have the red, right? And then they make a reckless team attack into Black Cat and you pitch that red from your hand, it would be an incredible fake out. And it sounds like something Burt would do to me.
Well, right now Spider-Man is only a 6/6, and he team attacks into Black Cat. So
Please do it. Oh my gosh. Pitch the
did we
red.
see that here?
Okay,
No,
dramatic
we decided on a
entrance. So,
dramatic entrance instead.
yeah, strong play nonetheless.
Nice one. And what he does?
Removes your graveyard.
Okay.
And the KO pile has been removed. There was only 4 cards in it, but
Okay, that's good.
at least the Comma Fall does hit and spread out some -1 counter.
And we should get a strike back here. I believe
And give me the accuser.
that the Spike Leviathan is a 6/6.
Yep.
Didn't get a strike back for some reason.
Pass her.
Shout out to Orco3333. Thank you very much for the follow. Appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying these games as much as we are.
Bit confused why we didn't get a strike back there. Let me check the stats on Spike Leviathan. Check the wording.
Spike Leviathan is a 6/6.
Source.
Okay, so Grandmaster. Is Burt still showing a Grandmaster?
Yes.
Is.
Attack Iron
Yeah,
Man.
so Grandmaster affects both players. So Burt doesn't get a chance to strike back because as soon as that Spike Leviathan enters play, it gets KO'd.
That's good.
Yeah, so they go through, do all the effects that the Leviathan would normally give, and then immediately disappears.
Draw 2.
Yes, so he doesn't have time to defend against the attack. So
It's a 2-card cancel combat, but still get a few effects off on your way.
Train ground.
and I believe
And we should see a level up Spider-Man here.
I was about to say the same thing, but then I remembered that Nullifier has kept him off.
Oh
XP
my
3
goodness, that's
turns now.
right.
The Nullifier
Oh,
combined with the missed location on turn 1 means that Spider-Man is
Just to-
Oh man.
leveling up much, much, much later than he would like.
How many
it's
cards
incredible
you got again?
seeing these 2 decks and how well paired they are against each other. Just the defense abilities of Black Cats and
Yep.
against the offensive abilities, and just all the cards that David would normally be able to pull out. Grandmaster's there to say no,
Currently,
and
Yeah, I was.
everything that Nullifier. Wow.
you're good. Keep going.
Yeah, and speaking of Grandmaster, I was wondering if we were going to see Iron Man try to deploy a suit here,
Cards in hand.
which obviously would fall prey to the Grandmaster, but it didn't play into it this time. Loads up counters on Buffy, trying to get that nullifier off.
That's good.
Shock to the system.
Is met with a shock,
That's her.
which is a minimum of one more turn that we're keeping Spider-Man off his XP.
Yeah, especially since he had to burn all those locations.
Yeah. Now he's got to find more off the top. Bert having to row another card though, so
Play Ghost.
Ghost
Okay.
comes down, is going to find a nullifier, a Serpent Crown, or the Mind Gem that, if you'll remember, got shuffled back into the deck thanks to the Infinity keyword.
Well, it was 3 Dark Phoenixes that he's showing in the deck, which means he's not holding any of those. And Serpent Crown.
Serpent Crown goes to Bert's hand. He'll be on 7 resources next turn. He could play it if he wanted.
Spider-Man's
That Buffy is looking pretty strong.
Yes.
That wouldn't be bad to take. Not to mention that David will be on 7 resources next turn. We could see something like a Fox Molder come out. Yeah, Buffy is sitting at 8-8 right now. I wonder if Ghost takes a shot at
Attack Spider-Man.
Tony
Yeah,
Stark or Spider-Man. Takes a shot at Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Looks like the plan is to
Drawing 3.
let David have that extra card, even if he finds a location, which he's likely to. He's off XP for at least this turn.
X-File. Fox Mojo.
And Fox Mulder.
Mulder makes his appearance, showing an X-Files. So I think we will once again see Dark Phoenix get ripped out of the deck.
Especially because he can't use the location to climb.
Let's see, make sure.
Might as well just spend it.
That's good.
Yep. Seems to be.
The truth is out
Yep.
there.
I would assume he's calling Dark Phoenix. Could be Sentry.
Yeah, and he is calling Dark Phoenix.
Yep.
He had one in
copy
his hand.
hands.
So the other 3 will be in the deck. And we were right back to where we were last game.
Yeah.
She's gone.
Deja vu.
Okay.
So it looks like Dramatic Entrance, Sentry, and the Serpent Crown were in Bert's hand.
5.
5. Okay.
Yeah, so I think that based on what I see in Bert's hand, unless he wants to use that dramatic with the Sentry, he could do that. But otherwise, I think David kind of cleans up the board this turn
She's an 8-8, right?
with the knowledge of
Yes.
what is in Bert's hand. He can go for it.
That's fine. He's Archie.
Yeah, Buffy slays Ghost.
Yeah, with only those 3 cards in hand and Sentry being an 8 cost, it seems a long time to wait to bring out that card, especially if you wind up losing
into
characters on your board.
Grandmaster.
And Spider-Man takes out Grandmaster, or hits Grandmaster rather.
Into
Mulder comes in. Mulder's a 7 attack to Black Cat's 8 defense right now with a.
And
friend
this
from Morgan.
may be where we see the Dramatic Entrance. Does he save the wound here and burn the card?
Yeah.
Yeah, watch the move.
Yep. Too late.
Also with Grandmaster face down, do we... no.
I'll go to 4.
No, he does take it. He takes.
Takes it.
That means the nullifier is gone.
That's his first wound, right? Those 3 were left over from last game.
No, he's taken 3 already.
Has he?
Yes,
Wow.
he took 3 in a row. Yeah, David was very, very aggressive in the first 3 turns.
That's right, because he had the turn 1 May Parker.
Right, and so he's been piling up wounds on Black Cat.
Wow, tough position to be in then.
Yeah, he's hoping he can at least put something out there to keep her protected until he can get Sentry out.
Rolling a card again. On 7 resources. Serpent Crown could come out, but does it do much good?
Team Attack Podcast in the chat is asking whether or not Bert crowns Mulder in order to stop another Truth is Out There call and
Yep.
keep Sentry from showing.
We could see that. It's tough. Buffy is the biggest character that you could take at an 8/8. So she's the best blocker that you could grab. But by leaving Mulder over there, he could just rip out, your other win condition, and then you're dead in the water. Either way, the chances of dying next turn, it looks like Bert scoops it up. Or is he just checking his resource row?
I think he's just checking his resource row.
All right. Either way, you got to fend off that final wound next turn.
Yeah, this could go from the longest game to the shortest game we've seen.
Yeah. Especially, I mean, all it would take to really lock it in is if David just slams down something like an Odin, right? And then it's really easy.
Yeah, I think Bert was just making sure he hadn't missed a drop, which he hasn't. Yeah, he's desperate to get that Sentry out.
He's just trying to. I think he's considering, like, so what do I Serpent Crown that helps me survive until I can play this Sentry?
And what are the odds that David has got another X-Files in his hand, or
Yeah,
possibly draw? Because he's drawn 3 cards next turn.
Yeah, that would definitely spell the end, I think. Odin would spell the end. We've seen him discard one of his Odins. He does not recruit the Serpent Crown, rather Ghost, to shuffle the deck because there are no equipment in there. Although I wonder where the Mind Gem is.
That's a great question, because we know unless he just drew the Mind Gem.
Unless he drew it and he wrote a card.
That's good.
So
True, he may have used it.
maybe he wrote it.
He doesn't use the Serpent Crown. Yes, he focused so much on getting Sentry out that he didn't play the Mind Gem for free and just put it in his resource row. And Goose takes Ghost. This could be.
Oh, I think it's the end then.
It.
But I mean, I think he's got one card left in his hand, which is either Sentry or the Mind Gem. The other one had to be the card he rode, right?
Spider-Man jumps to level 2 with that last climb he needed. He's been waiting a long time to do that.
Yeah, and that I believe is good enough for a win here.
Black Cat?
Do we see a dramatic?
No.
If he's got 2 cards left in his hand and it's still Dramatic Sentry,
Okay.
Yep.
How many cards you have in hand?
1.
He's got 1 card left. Bert's got 1 card left in hand.
Fox into Black Cat, powering up Fox with a Fox.
I can't believe you. Yeah, good game, man.
And it's the Serpent Crown.
And that is, we went from the longest game to the shortest game we've seen so far.
Which means he
congratulations to David for taking the second in a row. That incredible matchup between these 2 decks.
Wow, what an amazing 2 games. Could not have been more different.
Congratulations.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and unmute and jump in here and talk to these guys, see what happens, going through their minds, all that fun stuff. Please stay tuned.
Nothing to see here. Just pack it up. Lights out.
Hey guys.
Yes,
Hey.
sir.
Wow, absolutely wow. That was an incredible matchup. You guys, I
Tried
think
to make
played.
it entertaining for you.
I think you guys played the longest and shortest games we've seen so far in the
Yeah.
matchups.
Oh man.
Okay, so we've seen both of these decks last week. The matchup between these two going in, you've got more aggressive attack on David's side, definitely more defense on Bert's side. So the game one was so long, we'll just kind of pick it apart. So Bert, once you lost Dark Phoenix to Molder, what was the plan?
It was kind of just like pick and choose. I had Far From Home nullified, so I was really just trying to set up some team attacks with Jungle Hunter and the City Hunter. And then I don't know if you saw at the end there with let me try and finish them out real quick. The last 2 Comet Fall guys I had, the Beast and the 4-drop. So I sacrificed a lot. I gave up 2 copies of Sentry and 3 Grandmasters, I think, to try and save them because that was the last attack. And then like I really wanted the wall to just like steal the game, and he almost did. I wish I had yellows for him to fight, but that's something I'm going to take into account the next time I put him in the deck. Yeah, it's hard to play around Mulder, and I knew that's what he was going to do. That's how he wins this matchup a lot of the time. So yeah, it was good. He played it how he was supposed to.
Yeah, there didn't seem like there was any misplays between either one of you guys. But that was the longest we've ever seen Nullifier out against Spider-Man there, David. Once, what was going through the head?
Well, once I came to the conclusion he was out at academies, I like, okay, Sentry can't hit back. So all I had to do is get big enough and keep paragliding. So I just had to keep Spider-Man around long enough to get to the point where I'm big enough to hit Sentry.
So here's a question, and it was something actually that C-Stacks came up with. Sentry can't strike, but he can still attack.
He can still attack, yes.
Yeah, so there was one point when you could have played around Dawn, I think. I think you just sent Ghost into Dawn instead of instead of the Iron Man that you wanted to kill.
Okay, so let me go.
I think if Sentry just swings into Dawn, right? Yeah.
I think the way Dawn's worded is if she's on the board, you have to keep attacking her. Or is it just the first attack?
First attack.
Just the first attack? Okay.
Your first attack,
then I probably did play that wrong, yeah. I thought she was just an attack magnet until she dies. So yeah, that's on me. I don't think that would have changed much though, because he still would have outgrew my Ghost towards the end. I sent the Ghost in, and I knew he had the friend for work because we both ran out of cards, and I was like, well, maybe he wrote it and I didn't pay attention or something. So yeah.
Well, it also got to a point where just as long as David had a face-up location, he was just going to keep gaining.
He was going to outgrow the Ghost.
Yeah, he was just going to outgrow you.
Yeah.
And then we get into the second game where super fast, David, you come out just super aggressive. Of course, you get that incredible one-of-a-kind May Parker.
With no locations.
With no locations. And then you have to wait for 3-4 additional terms before you can even level up. Were you guys thinking it was going to happen the same way that happened on the first game?
He wasn't getting locations. I think that's the only thing that made that game go the first game. If we got any locations, I think it's a different game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bert also, rowing those cards several turns in a row.
Yeah.
I think it gave David the breathing room he needed. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then finally, C-Stacks has decided that there was a specific game or play of the game that he wants to ask you about, Bert.
Yeah,
Okay.
just what I would call the play of the match. Even though you lost, the play of the match, and like for me, like the play of the tournament was the the Grandmaster Ronin team attack with 4 power-ups
Oh,
to actually
yeah.
stun Spider-Man.
I did not
Incredible.
Woo! We got
Never
Grandmaster
seen
there.
anything like that.
Yeah, I was really into it. The chat was really into it. I saw that. I saw you make the team attack, and I was like, "What is he doing?" And then the double
Yeah.
power up, and then the triple and quadruple power up, and it
What?
actually hit. It hit its mark. Was the play of the match for me.
I actually gave up my whole hand for that, and it did end up backfiring. But yeah, I just wanted Grandmaster to get some combat in. So yeah. Oh man.
Well, guys, congratulations to David for taking third place and absolutely amazing matches, Bert. Appreciate both you guys taking the time for the last couple of weeks and joining the Quarantine Cup. Hope you both had fun because we absolutely were entertained watching the both of you guys play.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for doing this, Stax. It was really fun. I'm not gonna lie. Great tournament.
Yes.
It's been awesome. A lot of great games.
Yeah.
And for everybody at home, thank you very much for joining us. Keep in mind, this Thursday, it's 7 p.m. Central, right here on Twitch, we will have the final table matchup between Captain Marvel MCU and Spider-Woman. For the weeks and multiple formats, it has come down to 3 final games between 2 final players. So please join us right here. Also, tomorrow, keep an eye on upperdeckblog.com and our Facebook page. We will be releasing the first card preview for the Herald expansion. So we're going to have a couple of weeks of some fun card previews showing off more cards for the fantastic team. And I just want to say thank you guys once again. Thank you very much, Stax, for taking the time for putting this together. And I hope everybody has had just an incredible time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been great, and can't wait for the next match. And yeah, it's gonna be should be a great final match through a great tournament.
Thank you for staying up with us.
Oh yeah, no, hey, that's one of the joys of being on the West Coast. It's not that late for me.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, good job. And yeah, I see you there in chat there, Theo. So everybody have a good night. Please stay safe, and we will see you again real soon. Good night.